Did you get cookies?
We'll rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to our consensus agenda.
I move we approve the 2 sets of vouchers, the 3 payrolls, and those total $985,294.12. We also have minutes from our last meeting, and I believe we also have a correction to the December meeting that needs to be approved. So I would move we approve all of those.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
That's easy for you to say.
I know, with a mask on nonetheless. Motion passes 5-0. All right, patrons' comments. Do we have any patrons' comments?
Nope.
Nope? Okay. If any pop up, let us know, Orion. We will move on to personnel.
All right, I'd like to recommend the approval of, we're going to go ahead and tie the 2 maternity leave pieces together. The maternity leave for Samantha Phoenix, with the dates are 3/5/21 through 4/26/21. And with that, Christy Richardson has agreed to be the substitute teacher for Samantha. So we'll go ahead and tie those together.
I move we approve that.
Second.
Been moved by Ken, or Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I'd like to recommend the approval of Joe Scott as the interim bus mechanic. As we've discussed, Terry is in the process of just getting his shoulder and his elbow looked at. So it looks like he's going to be off for an extended period of time. So Joe has filled in for us before, done an awesome job, has a relationship with our bus drivers, and I'd recommend the approval of having him as the interim bus mechanic, providing that's necessary based on the second opinion of Terry's situation.
Move we approve that.
Second.
Second that.
I heard Wes first.
Mhm.
Been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I had a question. Is that full-time?
That will be, he has to stay under his hours for the Medicaid and the retirement. So he will monitor those very closely. So it will not be full-time. In fact, we're thinking that's going to end up being about 3 days a week as needed. But a lot of that's going to be based on the second opinion, what Terry can do. Once again, if with some of the disability paperwork as far as how much he can work as well, and how much we can pay him and how that offsets each other. So there's some things to be worked out yet as he goes for that second opinion, but it will not be full-time.
He doesn't have surgery scheduled
That is correct.
yet because he's got second opinion first.
Just last week, found out he needs to go for a second opinion for that.
Okay.
So, yep,
We voted.
that was approved. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Next, I would like to recommend the approval of Jason Thompson as the varsity assistant wrestling coach. He has been doing that, so we apologize that that was not on an earlier board meeting. But retroactively, we want to make sure that that obviously has taken place. He's done that for a number of years, so that got overlooked. But we want to make sure we can also pay him for his services.
I move that we approve his hiring payment.
Okay, I heard Steve first.
Oh,
You both
sorry,
started exactly.
I kept talking though. I should get it. I said more.
All right.
Second it.
Okay, there we go. It's been moved by Wes, seconded by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
All right, last but not least, I recommend the approval of the resignation of Tyler Hensley as varsity baseball coach.
I move we accept it.
Second.
Been moved by Ken, seconded by Kevin. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay. On to other business.
All right. I recommend the approval of the third reading and adoption of the corporation policy, Title IX, which is the correction that we made in the notes, just making sure that that's actually related to the sexual abuse policy, not necessarily a discrimination policy. So this is our third reading for that. Terry and I, once again, have met with Neola about that. So we just want to make sure we approve the third reading.
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved by Kevin, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item of business, I'd like to recommend the approval of the Jesse Service Agreement. This hasn't been, excuse me, updated for a few years with some of the changes that have happened with some of the other schools as far as what services they're partaking in. So Linda Holland just simply wanted to make sure that we had that up to date as we continue to have other discussions on service districts and so on. So I recommend that service agreement.
I move we approve that.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item up, I'd like to recommend the approval of the 2021-2022 school calendar. We took that to discussion, corporation discussion last month, and have had, we had approximately 4 different calendars that we looked at. I will tell you, when Christmas is on a Saturday or a Sunday on a weekend, it really cramps what you can do and the flexibility of the schedule. We did look at a lot of parent feedback and a lot of staff feedback as it related to trying to start our school year just a little bit later. Everybody wants to start later, end early, and have all the breaks in between, and it just doesn't work like that with 180 days necessary. So I would like to recommend the approval. I believe the start date on that is August 9th, if I'm not mistaken, for staff, and then 11th for students. We do go a couple days after Memorial Day, but knowing that we have the ability to do the digital learning for makeup days, and we do have some vacation in there. We did keep the full 2 weeks at Christmas, which was, once again, just conversations having with other schools in Marshall County not to go those first 2 days. That was recommended highly to not try to do that. So we tried to grant that request. So we'll obviously be making that available for everybody when that is approved.
I move we approve the school calendar.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Wes, seconded by Steve. Any discussion?
I just want to thank those
Go ahead.
people that were involved in that process. Appreciate all the work you did, Jer, and getting feedback from multiple sources. I think you've put together a good calendar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to say something, Orion?
I think Orion has a question.
While we're on the subject, we got a question about the calendar. They'd like to know where patrons can view the calendar for the 21-22 school year.
After that's approved, I will be making that public tomorrow. So Carol, I believe, is the one who asked that question. So I'll make sure Carol has a copy of that. But we'll also make sure we distribute that amongst our staff. And then, of course, public on social media, and we'll get that out ASAP.
It's been moved by Wes, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Motion passes.
The next item is I'd recommend the approval of the summer school program. This is simply permission from the board to begin that process. We know last year that a lot of those things were cut short. So we're just coming to the board to ask permission to begin that planning process as it relates to some of the learning loss, some of our students that could use that little extra support leading into next year.
So moved.
Second.
I heard Ken. Moved by Kevin, seconded by Ken. All in favor, or any discussion?
Question, Tom, are we going to get money for getting our kids up to speed?
Yes.
I mean, is that out there now?
We'll offer $150 million, I believe it is, to address learning loss. It's moving pretty quickly.
Okay.
I think it's going to require the schools writing a plan on how they're going to address it and applying for, their share of that grant. But yes, I think there will be additional money for that.
Okay, wonderful.
I want to say that's Bill 1008, which obviously we all know that within the first 10 bills, we know that that's kind of a priority of the House and the Senate, so it's likely that that's going to pass.
All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
And last but not least, I've just been in communication with our board and hearing from patrons and that type of thing. A couple things we're working on as it relates to just our first view from our community or other communities as people are looking to possibly move to Triton, those type of things. Putting some time and effort into our branding efforts, which is just kind of streamlining some of our colors and our PMS codes and those type of things as we continue to just try to get those up to speed and make sure that we are putting a product out there that we all associate with. But then in this approval, I would ask that we move forward with the possibility of changing our website. Our website over the years has become very cumbersome, tough to navigate, tough to edit. So we are looking to possibly, in conjunction with Bob Barkus of APHIUS, Trenton Barnhart is actually doing his internship there at this time. So he's been part of our meetings just to kind of see how that all goes and gain some experience there. But he's given us an outstanding deal, and I feel like our product is going to be superior to what we have right now. So that will be a process. That's something that we will build that from beginning to the end. It's about a 3-month process. So that will likely go live in July sometime, which will be in preparation for next school year.
I move we approve that whole process and first hours to get that done.
Second.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. All in favor? I'm going to recuse myself since my son is involved. So the motion is 4-0-1, however that is. All right, on to superintendent's reports.
All right, I have a lot here, so I'm just going to prepare everybody. There's a lot of great things that have happened over the last few weeks, and I just want to make sure we highlight those. And if, obviously, many of you guys are engaged with what's happening, if I forget something, please don't hesitate to help me out here. But I want to give some recognition. Since we met the last time, there's been a lot happening. And one of the first things that happened shortly after our board meeting was our DECA, which is an organization that prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs for careers in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management in high schools and colleges. The hospitality service team of Maddie Richardson and Lily Hubert received first place. Emma Lemler and Sarah Weber received fifth place. And in the sports management, sports and entertainment marketing individual series, Jordan Cox received fourth place. All of those individuals will be moving on to the state competition, which will be done virtually. But nonetheless, they are moving on to the state competition. I want to congratulate our 7th and 8th grade boys basketball team. They both won their conference tournaments and had a very successful winning record. I want to congratulate the Triton Varsity Wrestling Program on their most recent success, Elijah Cox, Anthony Shue, and Caleb Lemler for their regional berth, which took place last weekend. And on Saturday, Caleb Lemler and Anthony Shue punched their ticket to the East Chicago Semi-State. So congratulations to them and Coach Matt Arvison. I want to congratulate Hunter McIntyre for achieving Indiana Football Coaches Association Academic All-State. I want to congratulate our Lady Trojan varsity basketball team. If people had the opportunity to watch that game, it was just outstanding overtime victory against Argus. So congratulations to Coach Heckerman and his girls basketball team on winning the sectional championship and moving on to the regional. I also want to wish Maddie Richardson her best as she competes and represents Triton School Corporation in our community in the State Distinguished Young Women Competition this weekend, I believe. Is that correct? I don't know the exact date.
Yeah, it's
I want to
virtual.
say I thought I heard Ryan on the announcement the other night say that was maybe this weekend. Is that correct? So congratulations to her, and we wish her her best. Shared leadership. I just want to continue to keep everybody in the loop when it comes to reunification tours. Mr. McCann, Mr. Breeden, and I had the opportunity to go around to the different sites to make sure that our new individuals within our corporation, especially leadership and technology, are up to date on our reunification plan and our emergency plan. I did send the emergency plan to you guys in the email if you want to take a look at that. A lot of time and effort goes into something that we hope we never use. But that was a good conversation to be had there. I want to thank our community for the generous donations to our athletics. A continued special thank you to the Triton Trojan Sports Network for continuing to broadcast several games each week for those who are not able to attend due to COVID restrictions. Those snowbirds that have left and are watching our games in Florida, my in-laws happen to be some of those that are very, very thankful for that opportunity. It's just amazing that our kids think that's the norm, and we have to continue to remind them that that is just an absolute privilege, and I want to thank Orion and his team for that. It's no secret that the Triton Athletic Department is funded by our gate receipts, with those being down this year. It has taken our community donating to the cause in order to fund this year's athletic programs. We're still in need of your generous donations in order to fund referees and transportation for our scholar athletes. The most efficient, easy access for this is embedded on the tritontrojans.org/donate site, or if you visit the tritontrojans.org site, the top right-hand corner, there's a little heart and it has a little money sign in that. Orion, did I say all that correctly? Okay, so it's very, very easy to find, and if you're interested and or if you've been blessed by being able to watch your son, daughter, grandkids, that type of thing, we ask you to be part of that solution. These donations will go to the athletics to make up for the lost ticket revenue. If you prefer to write a check for a tax-deductible receipt, you can touch base with Mason McIntyre at the junior senior high school, or you can call the Triton Administration Building. Talk to Mr. McFarland on that one. He's always happy to get some checks. So, or you can talk to me. I'll be more than happy to have that conversation as well. But like I said, the easiest way to do that is the link on the tritontrojans.org site, top right-hand corner, the heart with the money sign in it. Social responsibility, I want to congratulate and or recognize, and then also encourage our community. The Triton Senior Squad will be having a food drive this week to support the Triton High School Blessings in a Backpack program. Please consider donating non-perishable food items to your favorite Trojan Scholars SLC, and that's student learning community. It's kind of like their home room, and they're having a competition for who can bring in the most non-perishable food items. Also, I want to thank our Lions Club of Etna Green and Bourbon for doing the vision screening for grades 1, 3, 5, and 8. This is a requirement, and they came in and just did a very, very efficient job. And we appreciate their service. Obviously, that's what their organization is all about, but we appreciate them living that out. On Saturday, July 10th of 2021 will be Breeze Run, so more information will be coming out on that. In fact, I posted that on January 28th, but we will continue to send flyers out for that for Miss Bree Lemler in memory of her. So those flyers, like I said, will be coming out, but that has also been posted. You can sign up and do the donation link on our Facebook page on the January 28th post. I also want to thank Chad Stepp for arranging the police and fire escort for both our junior high boys and our sectional champion ladies. Just an awesome tradition. Never seen anything like that until I came to Triton, but just it's really, really important to them, and it's just an awesome sight to see after they get done winning a sectional championship or an important tournament. Our police and our fire escort was just awesome Saturday night. Accountability. Triton juniors are completing their Istep makeup this week, and I know I'm taking a lot of Mr. McCann's stuff here. I apologize. Maybe some of Mrs. Cook's, but this continues to be a very important assessment for graduation and for future entrance to college and career pathway attainment. Triton is accountable. This kind of surrounds our calendar conversation. Triton is accountable for the number of days we are in school like every other school in our state. Due to receiving a waiver from the State Board of Education, we are able to base our school year on hours. We have missed 3 days the last couple of weeks due to weather. Therefore, we will be wise stewards of the banked time remaining and perform our first digital learning day on Saturday, February 27th. Now, there's some questions on why maybe we wouldn't use the February 15th date that we put in as a makeup day. We just felt like the turnaround time of the last board meeting approving some of those, and then that being next Monday already, that if people already had plans and those type of things, just trying to be respectful of that. But then also the need for us to practice the digital learning weather day. which actually takes place on Saturday. But I want to be very, very clear that that is not considered Saturday school. So the students will have 4 days, well, excuse me, from Friday, our teachers will post the information. They'll have until Wednesday to both watch the instruction and complete the assigned tasks that are taking place. So the only reason we name Saturday, February 27th is because that's the actual day that we can count towards our calendar, as to not have to add that to the end of June or the end of our calendar in June. So we'll continue to communicate. We're meeting as an administrative team on Wednesday to continue to come up with a communication plan on that. A lot of that will come from the buildings, and then even more specifically from the individual classrooms as it relates to what the expectations are, where those can be found, and some of those processes. We'll have to review that because we're pretty fortunate to say right now that the last time we had to do digital learning was before Thanksgiving. So we'll go back to the board on that. We'll go back to reviewing those expectations and make sure that that's very clearly communicated. I would simply ask our patrons if there's questions in the meantime, do not worry about it, but please do not hesitate to ask if you don't feel like you're getting the correct information. More details from each building will be shared with the staff, students, and guardians in the coming weeks, so everybody is 100% prepared for this process. That will be important in the coming years for making up weather-related days when we don't have the waiver available. So just to reiterate, Monday, February 15th, President's Day will remain a vacation day due to the timing of the most recent cancellations. High expectations. Last week, we surpassed the 100th day of school. And I would say typically the tradition to celebrate this day is something that we do every year, but this year it's a little extra special. I think if any of us said in August that we would have 100 days, excuse me, let alone 180, 100 days of in-person instruction, I think a lot of us would have said, I don't think it's probably going to happen. As we see the news and we see a lot of these places that haven't even gone back to face-to-face school yet, it just makes me even more thankful for our staff. We have been blessed to educate our scholars in person this year, and our teachers and staff deserve a heartfelt thank you for their service, dedication, and commitment to our scholars. As I said, when I hear other, so whether that's a state or cities that have not been back to school, I just can't imagine the learning loss that's taking place through the digital means. Digital has its place, and I understand the need for that at this time, but I'm so thankful for our teachers who have put so much time and effort into making sure the classroom has been productively used. Evidence-based decision-making. I want to thank the Triton community for their support and encouragement during the last couple of weeks of weather events. Thank you to Laura Baker, Terry Scott, Bruce Gephardt, Brian Feldman for working hard to drive roads and keep our campus cleared of the snow and ice in order to keep our students and staff safe when they are on campus. That is always a very difficult conversation in the mornings to try to figure out what it's going to look like at 10 o'clock when you're trying to make the decision at 6 o'clock. So I just thank our community for being very understanding and just thank you. So last but not least, I'm finishing up here, guys. Alignment. Triton was encouraged to receive a $5,000 grant towards the rebranding efforts of the Marshall County Promise Initiative. Those patrons that have had students in kindergarten through third grade over the last several years know that has kind of come and gone and come back. But we're going to try to continue to push forward with the Marshall County Promise Initiative that gives our kindergartners through third graders $25 each year towards their 529 savings accounts. So just believing in their future. Donna Burrows started this probably 5-6 years ago. They've gone through a couple different changes in leadership as it relates to how they did that, whether that electronically or by paper, and it caused some definite confusion, and we're going to kind of start from ground zero and start that over again. Kelsey Manson, thank you for the correction the other day. I said Madden, that's somebody else that you're business with, but Kelsey Manson's excited about that. She's from First Source Bank. I will tell you, Mrs. Burrows from the get-go has says it would be nice to have somebody from the private sector driving this, not a school official or school officials doing that. And so we're really excited for that partnership, and we think that's going to go some really good places. So we're pretty blessed in Marshall County right now. account with the Marshall County Community Foundation is approximately $85,000. So as she comes in and begins to really build the branding efforts and the marketing efforts of this, she's got a really good foundation for blessing our students in Marshall County. So she'll be taking all the schools in Marshall County, all the kindergartners through third graders, and trying to really push that to get those 529s open. Be happy to take any questions or thoughts. Looks like Carol maybe couldn't hear Tom's answer to the summer school funding or remediation funding. So Carol, on that, we will be receiving both the summer school funding and the remediation funding as well. We just simply, I believe he said something to the effect of we need to make sure we have a plan for that and what that's going to look like for our remediation efforts. So those funds are available, but we do, like many of the things, we do have to come up with a plan to make sure we're being fiscally responsible with those funds.
Are there any other questions online? No? All right, we'll move on to building reports.
Thank you, Mr. Riffle, for that very thorough report. I have to say, though, that was maybe your longest report ever, and you did not overlap my report whatsoever.
Oh, that's
I know. Isn't that awesome? So,
I mean, at least for me.
Just to start out, we are also happy to be celebrating 100 days of school for sure, in-person instruction, and it is an exciting thing. And some of our classes did it in a big way, which was a lot of fun for them. Right now, we currently have 7 who are full-time digital students. We have 15 students on quarantine right now and just 1 quarantine staff member. So I feel like this is a pretty good time for us right now. Knock on wood, it can change it in a minute, but I think it's we're making it. Again, I would just like to thank our substitute teachers that we have and who have, had the courage and are coming in and filling in for those who can't be here at different times. It makes a huge difference for us and our ability to stay in doing what we're doing. On the 27th, we did a statewide readiness test at the elementary, and we really tested all of our devices in grades 3, 4, 5, 6 with just kind of a practice run called the SRT, and we really didn't have any big glitches at all. So I thank our tech department for preparing us for that, and hopefully when we go to give practice tests, that'll be another round, and then when we give our actual iRead and then iLearn in April, we'll be ready for that and smooth sailing, except for actually getting the kids ready. That's a bigger task, okay? But our technology looks good. Mrs. LaSure has been guiding teachers through looking at social studies materials. We haven't adopted any new materials in probably over 15 years. So it's time. Some of the upper grades are really looking at some things that they might be more engaging to students, more relevant and helpful as they teach the social studies standards, which have changed a couple times over the years. We had a great response to the PTO who's selling carnations to show someone you care. On Friday, we have over 1,000 carnations ordered. And so we are hoping for that delivery on Friday afternoon. PTO is also looking at having another fundraiser coming up just to for the jelly beans, and that'll be in time for Easter. I'm going to have some incentives for kids as well in that. And in terms of our pre-K, we are applying for a round 2 of the Come Back Stronger grant. That's affiliated through the Lilly Endowment, I believe. So we're really pleased to be able to do that. I hope we are going to be able to receive that as well. And one of the things it is going to hopefully address is the learning loss. We've had to close our preschool twice, so our kids have missed out on 4 weeks of instruction, some more than that if they've been quarantined during this third round. But hopefully we're going to use some of those funds to address that learning loss and maybe even extend their school year. We also have our Paths to Quality annual rating visit, which is February 18th. That's coming right up. When we pass that, that allows us to continue to be an On My Way pre-K provider, which allows us to receive those extra funds for families who are not able to afford and who qualify. We're also trying to put in a few fun things in the calendar as best we can, keeping everybody safe in the meantime. That includes 50s Day. We're still celebrating the 1950s for any of you who have been there, lived through it. And that's going to be February 26th. Okay? If there's nothing else, I'll hand it over to Mr. McCann.
All right, unlike Ms. Cook's presentation, mine drastically got less and less as Mr. Riffle gave his. And I'm not complaining, so you're okay. So just real quick, at the junior senior high school, we have currently have 18 virtual students, and we have 18 temporary virtual students due to quarantine. So that's where we stand right now. Probably one of the biggest items for the junior senior high school is right now we do have Istep testing going on, and that is for our mainly our junior class. So those students were supposed to take that test last year, but were not able to do so because of COVID. So we're giving that test to them this year for the first time. So they are taking that. And we also have a handful of seniors that are retesting, and they're in that mix as well. So this week we're giving the language arts test. Next week we're giving the math test. And, you know, we're trying to be creative with schedules because, as we know, weather and possible quarantines are they're just out there waiting to get us. We're just going to be flexible with that schedule and try and meet our deadline of getting testing. And so we're hopeful that at the end of next week we'll be all done with Istep. So, and then we have a week as kind of a buffer if we would happen to have any makeup tests. So, let's see here. Go through my list here. Like Ms. Cook said, we have social studies adoption going on this year as well. So our teachers in the social studies department have been, they've met several times. We've got a board member. We've also got a parent on our committee reviewing those materials. And we've been able to have presentations for our teachers from different companies as they review the materials. And at some point, we're hopeful to bring in a recommendation to the school board on our adoption for social studies, because it's, like you said, it's been 15 years. I don't know if it's been that long at the junior senior high, but it's been a number of years. So we're looking forward to that opportunity. Let's see here. Mr. Riffle mentioned the digital learning days, and I will say I did get a few questions today about that, Mr. Riffle. And I think the things that you mentioned today would have addressed all those questions. So I think that was good information to provide. But we'll just continue to answer questions as parents have them. I know I've received emails, phone calls, so I just encourage parents to make those contacts if those questions come up. But other than that, that's what I have for the junior senior high school, unless you guys have questions.
You said something about the just the 18 virtual students, 18 students that are quarantined right now. Just last Thursday, we were part of a webinar with the Marshall County Health Department, and their CDC just came out with some new guidelines as it relates to close contacts and quarantines. So we were able to very quickly move on that information with the Marshall County Health Department's blessing. To allow it's really going to impact the high school because we've taken previous expectations from the CDC at the elementary school, which is less restrictive. And for our elementary kids, I think that's appropriate. But for the high school, if they are outside of 3 feet and masked up the entire time in class, they no longer have to be quarantined. If you recall, the old rules were if they were 6 foot away and the masks really didn't matter. So we have been having that conversation with the health department for quite some time, and they really feel comfortable with maybe easing that up a little bit. A lot of that is based on the data from our schools that, quite frankly, we've tried really, really hard to make our schools the most structured environment for making sure that we're following some of those expectations. So I think it's going to be a game changer at the high school, and it's going to keep healthy kids in school, which has been probably one of the most frustrating parts of this whole thing is we're telling 25 kids that are healthy to go home for 2 weeks. So not only do we have the 10-day new requirement, but we also have this new expectation that's really going to help us.
Yeah, so I think this last quarantine we had to do, what would have been like 15, 16 students, we were able to take down to like 10 to 12. And that's not making these preparations. So now we can go back out to our teachers and say, here's our new guidelines. Let's try and work within those. And hopefully we could even see that number reduced in future, you know, instances that we find ourselves in. So I do think it would be helpful.
It's amazing the little things that we've always done that we just can't do anymore when it comes to who's sitting by who at lunch, having to make some of those changes and athletics and just trying to wade through all of those things on top of just doing business as usual has been a very, very trying time, but our team has communicated well, and I appreciate them for that. So I appreciate the board's patience and as we kind of wade through uncharted waters on that.
Okay, thank you. If there is no other business, we will move to adjourn at 7:36.